Okay. I won't say that bit again, but I was just sorry. Hello to anyone who's watching the recording. I have just done a little bit about flights. Just to go over, I was talking about the Canadian visa. So it's really important to make sure you have your Canadian visa. Okay, so when you land in San Jose, like I said, you won't need a Costa Rican visa. What you do is it's called a single entry visa, so you can land into Costa Rica and they'll stamp you in. But in order to get that stamp, you need to have proof of exit. So proof of exit, you might have seen this written in the admin email. It just means proof of leaving the country. You have 180 days, so 6 months in Costa Rica. So when you land, most of you will have return tickets, hopefully flexible if you want to change them and travel on. But make sure you have it printed off, proof that you are leaving. They'll need your flight number and the departure date. If you're traveling on elsewhere within Central America, that's fine. You can always come back into Costa Rica and they'll re-stamp you in again at that point. You'll also need proof of exit at that stage. I don't know if you guys are planning on traveling onwards, but you can always ask us. We'd advise you on which countries you're going to, what you'll need visa-wise and stuff like that. So I think most of you are on the team flight as well, which is great. So that's why one of the reasons you've got the WhatsApp chat. So you can meet in Heathrow, you'll use the chat to communicate, meet off security groups will say, right, let's meet in Spoons, let's meet in Cafe Nero, wherever it is. So that's for you to use that. And then you'll fly all the way through together. And then when you land in San Jose, a member of our team in Costa Rica will meet you at the airport. They will have a leap sign. And on the sign it will also say Jaquira. Jaquira are our partners we work with in Costa Rica. So they'll be with you the whole way through. Your leader works with Jaquira. So if you get thrown off by that, I'll put their account in your chat, their Instagram account, so you can have a look. It's an amazing Instagram, and hopefully it will get you quite excited for your trip. So like I said, at arrivals, you'll be met by one of our team. Your leader is a girl called Kirsten, who's Heaven. She is 22 now, and she's originally from South Africa / the UK, but now lives permanently in Costa Rica. She's so much fun. She does all of our groups. Everyone loves her. She knows everything there is to know about Costa Rica, so you're in good hands. She'll scoop you up from the airport and take you to your hotel for the first night. It's quite late, you land quite late, you land about 8:30ish. So if you want supper, there'll be supper when you arrive at the hotel. If not, it's straight to bed, jet lag. You guys are going to be exhausted after your long journey. The other thing they will need at immigration, other than your proof of departure, is your address on your first night of staying. So don't let this catch you out. They will ask everyone. What we'll do when we send out the next round of admin is we'll make sure that the address is in there. So print that off. Rule of thumb for all of the admin stuff, print it off, whether it's stuff for Heathrow, for Canada, or for San Jose. Have one of those little travel wallets with all the information in. And then if you need anything, rather than faffing with your phone and emails trying to find it, it's all there in the same place, printed off. So we'll send that through to you. You're staying at a really sweet little hotel called La Rosa America. It's where all of our groups stay. There's a swimming pool if anyone wants to swim when you land, when you arrive. But if not, it's just simple rooms. You'll be sharing mixed, so not mixed, sorry, so girls in one room, boys in another, sharing in twos or threes. You're only there for one night, and then you'll get up first thing next morning to start your adventure. Do you guys have any questions about arrivals, about flights, any of that kind of stuff? Or you're all happy? Happy. Great. Okay, amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly run through the itinerary. It has changed slightly since the version you might have seen, but that's so that you can meet up with other groups whilst you're out there and that you won't be just the 7 of you whilst you're there. We've got a couple more people in the mix, so hopefully before you go there'll be 1 or 2 more people joining. But it's a really nice, as the groups I've led, it's really nice having a small team. It might seem like that's not the case, but actually it's lovely. It's much more friendly, much more social. When we have big groups, we have to split them up into small teams anyway, so it doesn't really make that much difference. And then the groups that you'll be joining out there, they'll also be traveling with Jaquira, and they're also on their gap year. Most of them come from the Netherlands, but all over Europe. So sometimes they have people from Iceland or from Portugal, wherever it is, but they're at the same stage as you. All lovely, all speak great English. So you'll be mixing and matching, but your inner group, the LEAP group, will stay together the whole way through. So I'll rattle through the itinerary, and then at the end, if you have any questions about the phases, we can then do questions then. So phase 1, this has stayed the same. This is Quepos, Manuel Antonio, Cocao phase. So this phase is incredible. It's a great introduction into Costa Rica. It's a real wow factor. You're going down towards the south coast, and you're right on the beach. So you've got Pacific Ocean, gorgeous beaches, palm trees, and then Manuel Antonio National Park, which is world famous, beautiful. They have huge waterfalls, sloths, monkeys, deer, everything you can possibly imagine. I'm sure you know Costa Rica is world famous for its biodiversity. So this is a really great chance to get straight into the action. So in this phase, your volunteering element is a place called Cocal. And this is a little fishing community. It's really isolated from the mainland, so you have to get a little ferry to get across there. I say ferry, that makes it sound more exciting than it is. It's a tiny little boat that fits about 10, 15 people. But this is really important that it's cut off, because it means that it's 5-10 years behind the rest of Costa Rica. So people that are here find it very difficult to leave. Finding work, finding jobs, finding education is really difficult for the community. So the kids there, they have a little school and then a community centre. This community centre is for the kids that aren't in education. So they won't have gone into a school, or their parents can't afford to pay for school clothes or whatever supplies they'll need. So this community centre is their lifeline. So it's where they spend all day, every day. So you'll be doing all sorts of different jobs there. You might be teaching English in the school, or you might be building a bench outside or doing a beach clean. Wherever you're needed, that's where you'll be. So you'll be doing small odd jobs, but all of them you'll be surrounded by children. These children, pre-warning, they are so sweet, but they are absolute chaos. So they're used to these elite groups coming now, used to the English kids. So they run the show, they're in charge. They will climb over you, they'll paint on you, they'll draw on you. But they're really good fun, really, really interactive. If before you go, if you can learn a couple of Spanish phrases like what's your name, how old are you, it makes such a big difference. Do any of you speak Spanish, or you're all beginners? No one? Fine. You don't have to do that, but it's just a nice way to be able to interact with them. And then, like I said, you've also got Manuel Antonio National Park, so you'll spend one day there. That's exploring the beaches, some of the most beautiful beaches in all of Costa Rica. Gorgeous, you'll be walking around there, there'll be sloths, there'll be monkeys, really tame monkeys. So that's a really nice thing to do. And then you also have one day what we call the waterfall hike, where you go and see 2 massive, beautiful waterfalls. You can swim in them, hiking through the jungle. Really, really nice day. In that phase, you're staying in a place that we called La Finca. So La Finca means farm in Spanish. It is an old palm oil farm plantation, right? So the guy that bought it, this American guy, bought it about 30 years ago. And his aim was to rewild it back to its natural state. So the area you'll see when you're there is miles and miles and miles of palm trees. They use these palm trees to harvest palm oil. So it's in all sorts of things like Nutella, you have palm oil. So what he's doing is he's trying to reverse that damage and get it back to its natural state. So you're gorgeous, you're in the middle of jungle, cut off from everything, you're quite far from the main road. So it's really wild, really gorgeous. You can hike up to some viewpoints and you can see out across the Pacific Ocean. So you should do a sunrise or a sunset hike. It's not really a hike, it's about a 10-15 minute walk. There's a swimming pool there, there's a chef there who will do 3 meals a day, and there's washing if you do want washing. So it's a really cool place. There isn't Wi-Fi there, which often scares people, but for the first phase of being there, not having your phones is actually great. It means you guys can bond, you can play cards, play games in the pool, play volleyball. They've got a football pitch there. So there's plenty to keep you entertained. Then you're going to move on to phase 2. So phase 2 is Natura. This is the animal sanctuary. This is an amazing chance to actually see the wildlife up close. Obviously, you know Costa Rica has things like jaguars, ocelots, all sorts of amazing animals, but you won't actually see them in the wild. So it's a great chance to see them. Natura is a wildlife sanctuary / rehabilitation centre. So all the animals they have there will be rescued or orphaned. They've got, for example, 2 jaguar, they're now no longer cubs, but they were found in a petrol station. Someone had illegally bred them and then dumped them in a petrol station. So that's the type of way animals end up there. You'll be getting really up close and personal with some of them. You'll be doing all of the feedings. So they have 2 feedings, morning feedings and then after lunch feedings. For example, the macaws, the big parrots, you have to go into their cages to feed them. They have these huge round cages you have to walk through and they'll all be flying over your head. It's like something out of the movie Rio. Beautiful, beautiful. And then alongside that, you'll be helping with any maintenance tasks. So if they need fences fixed, the last group built an emergency enclosure. They had a new rescue coming in and they had nowhere to put it. Groups before that have dug watering holes for a tapir. Again, totally depends what the work they need doing. You will be doing that work. So any questions about those two, firstly, before I go too far? Okay, and then the tour, this is what we call the nitty-gritty phase. So this is a phase where you have to get stuck in. It's quite hot, it's quite hard work, but hopefully it should be really rewarding. Everyone really enjoys it. It's so unique. It's not something that you'd be able to do on a typical holiday. So it's a really nice chance for you guys to get into the Costa Rican vibe. The accommodation there is quite basic. It has everything you need. It has showers, bathrooms. It's one big, long dormitory. Lots of bunk beds, depending on who's in there. Sometimes it's girls and boys mixed with a curtain. Sometimes boys are in a separate room. It depends on how many other volunteers they have there. Natura does have Wi-Fi. There's 2 places that have it, the reception and then your accommodation area. It's very basic and very slow, but it is there if you need it. Okay, and then jumping on to phase 3, this is Santa Teresa. So this is where the program has changed. We swapped these 2 phases around. So you're now going to Santa Teresa. Here you'll be joining other groups. There'll be more people around in this phase from the other teams. Santa Teresa is incredible. This is where Jaquira is based. It's a really, really popular town, very touristy, very cool, surfing, reggae, lots of really cool different bars, lots of food, all types of food that you can imagine. This is where you'll be having your main beach phase, doing surfing, yoga. What else can you do? There you'll be doing volunteering in plastic ocean themed projects. So they've got a huge problem with plastic pollution on the beaches there. You'll see it when you go, lots of microplastics. So you'll be working alongside the communities who have different initiatives in how to collect the plastic and recycle the plastic. You'll be working in a place called Bionics, which is weirdly owned by Pharrell Williams, of all people. So you'll go there, it's a huge recycling plant, and they turn plastic into clothes, into building materials. So it's a really cool thing to be able to experience and to help out with. Whilst you're in Santa Teresa, you'll spend 2 nights, you'll hop off to Serenas, which is the turtle conservation project. So you'll spend 2 nights there, you'll be helping in their hatchery. When they have turtles nesting on that beach, they will relocate the nests into the hatchery. So in 1 year, they can have up to 200-300 nests in the hatchery. So hopefully, I mean, it's tricky, you can't predict it, but hopefully you should see either big turtles coming up to lay, or if you're really lucky, you'll help out in a hatching and release the baby turtles into the ocean. You'll then go back to Santa Teresa, spend a couple more days there exploring. There's some more waterfalls you can go and see, some gorgeous beaches, a day trip on a boat. There's lots going on. In Santa Teresa, you have a bit more option on how you want to fill your days. There's extras like horseback riding on the beach. What are the other extras? Extra surfing lessons, stuff like that. The camp that you're staying in, so you'll be staying in Jaquira camp. This place is amazing. It's got, again, an in-house chef. There's a pizza oven. They've got huge hammocks that are like 10 meters by 10 meters. Gorgeous infinity swimming pool, washing. They do theme nights there. So they might have Mexican nights, or I can't remember what else they've done. Lots of pizza nights. You'll have pizza nights, I'm sure. So this is where you'll spend about 4 or 5 more days here in this area. You'll then move on to the final phase, which is Monteverde. Monteverde is the adventure phase. So this is where you'll get your chance to do your zip lining, your bungee jumping. If anyone's feeling, I personally don't like bungee jumping. There'll be lots of extra hikes here. There's coffee tours. You can go to coffee plantations. Again, horseback riding. So this is the phase for you to do the activities we have planned, and then also add on any extra activities. Monteverde is then super close to San Jose. It's about 2 hours from San Jose. So once you're finished in Monteverde, you'll then hop across to San Jose and fly home. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily apply if you want to travel onwards. Does anyone have any questions about that, about the itinerary? No, everyone happy? Okay, so I'm going to quickly go into extras, so extra things you need to think about, things like health stuff, electronic stuff, things like that. So money, this is your pre-warning. Costa Rica is so expensive. I don't know if you've heard that before. I don't know if other people have told you that. It is ridiculously expensive. Some areas are more expensive than others. So Santa Teresa, for example, because it's such a popular touristy area, is naturally a lot more expensive. But depending on your budget, you can work around it. You can work with the system. So in some places, for example, Santa Teresa, you don't have dinner included. that there is a kitchen. So if you don't want to eat out, of course you can eat out if you want to eat out, but if you don't, there's a kitchen. So a couple of you can get together, do pasta, whatever it is. So if you are worried about budgeting, it is possible, you just have to do it sensibly. We do say around extra spending money to take around $150 per week. That will average out across the trip. So of course there'll be some phases that are more expensive. In a tour, for example, you won't be able to spend any money. They have a little gift shop that has Coke and ice cream. But other than that, you're not going out for meals, you're not going out for drinks. So in that phase, you'll be able to save, and then you'll have more to spend in other phases you want. But as a general rule of thumb, think to have about $150 per week you're there. Cards, for your credit cards, make sure you take a spare card with you. You won't be using your cards that much. You won't need cash. Everywhere has Apple Pay. But it's worth having a spare card just in case you lose one card, that you've got something that you can use as a backup. So try not to, if you are taking two cards, try not to keep them in the same wallet, for example. So have your main card in your wallet that you take out and about, and then have a spare card in your big rucksack in case you do lose the original one. With ATMs and withdrawing money, lots of the ATMs you will get charged quite a lot to use them. So the leader, wherever you are, she'll show you which ATMs you can use. The only place you'll really need cash is in Monteverde, the final phase, when you're paying for any extra activities that you do. But other than that, you shouldn't need to worry too much. The currency is colones in Costa Rica, but basically everywhere takes dollars, American dollars. So if you want to take some cash with you, just to have a spare in your hand, take like $50 emergency or $100 emergency money, that if you suddenly need cash, you've got that in your bag, and everywhere will accept it. You can, when it comes to data and SIM cards, if you want to, you can get a Costa Rican SIM card. Again, the SIM card itself is very cheap, but the data is very expensive. But what lots of people want to do, like doing, is they get a travel SIM, an air SIM. I can send you, if anyone's interested, I can send you a couple of companies that do that. And what that is, it's like an international bolt-on. So it adds on to your English SIM, and then it allows you to use the SIM card once you're abroad. Or the other option is some places, like I have O2, for example, that covers me in Costa Rica, so I can use data as normal. So just look into what your phone covers and then think about if you want to have data or not. Like I said, most places will have Wi-Fi, but it's just when you're out and about if you want to have data. Totally up to you, your decision. The leaders will have data everywhere they go, so if anything happens, of course, they'll either be able to hotspot you or they'll be able to use their own data. So don't worry about that. My final 2 points on electrics is phones. We always recommend to take a spare phone. So if you have lying around an iPhone 7, iPhone 8, whatever it is, to have a spare phone, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that drop their phones, drop them in the sea, smash them, lose them. So to have a spare phone is so useful, and then you're not stranded on the other side of the world with no phone or no way of contacting your parents and flying home and things like that. If you don't have one, hopefully someone in the group will have a spare one that you can use, but it's just worth thinking about. It does by no means need to be a nice phone, something that if it doesn't then return home, it's not the end of the world. And then the final thing is plugs, sockets, adapters. It's a US adapter, so either you can get one that's just for America, or they do really good international sockets that will have multiple different options, so you can use it if you travel elsewhere. Okay, my next point is health. So on your kit list, you would have seen that there's a little small first aid bit. So we ask that you all bring your own first aid stuff, very simple stuff, doesn't have to be complicated, any medications that you're currently taking that you need, and then things like rehydration sachets. You're going to a hot climate, it's really sweaty and really humid. So it's great to have some rehydration sachets if you have a hot day, if you're working hard, just to top up your hydration levels. One of the main things that people get sick with will be dehydration. So if you can prevent that, then you'll be fine. Things like antiseptic is really great. Again, it's in the tropics. If you get a cut, it takes so much longer to heal. So you need to be a bit more vigilant about cleaning it, keeping it dry, that kind of stuff. Other than that, all of the first aid stuff, the leader will carry a full comprehensive first aid kit. So if anything happens that you don't have stuff to cover, that's fine, they've got that. On the note of leaders and first aid, the leader is first aid trained. So if there is anything that you can't deal with, they will then deal with it. If there's anything they then can't deal with, they will then take you to a doctor's or a hospital, whatever's relevant. And then the final thing about health is mosquito bites. So Costa Rica has a lot of mosquitoes. In some places you stay, you will have a mozzie net. So Serenas, for example, the turtle sanctuary, you'll sleep with a mozzie net. On your kit list, I believe it asks you to bring one. That's for when you're in a tour, if you want to have one on your bed when you're in the tour. Mozzie bites can get really infected, again, because it's the tropics. And also the mosquitoes in Costa Rica can carry dengue fever. Dengue fever, it's not the end of the world if you do get it, but it is horrible. It's a flu, you'll be sick, you'll be bedbound. And the best way to avoid that is preventing getting bitten. So if you can bring bug spray, and then in the evenings, for example, wear long things on your legs, long trousers, that's the best way to avoid getting dengue fever. But like I said, if you do get it, I'm not telling you this to scare you. It's so easily dealt with. It's just not very pleasant. So we try to avoid that if we can. On the subject of kit list, everything is there for a reason. So if you can, please bring everything that is on the kit list. I don't think there's anything that's too crazy or out there. That should be stuff that you have anyway. One thing that's really useful to bring, and it is on the list, is travel wash. It just means in between washes, if you need to wash a bikini or wash your trunks or t-shirt, it's really helpful to have that. If you don't have it, you can still use soap or whatever, shampoo. On the subject of washing, you'll be able to wash in phase 1, 3, and 4. So you won't be without washing services. Don't worry, you don't have to do all your own washing. It's only in the animal sanctuary that you won't be able to wash stuff. The washing, you will have to budget like $5-ish per extra wash. What else on the kit list? Shoes. For shoes, I'd recommend bringing 3 pairs, even 2. So 1 pair of trainers, and these are trainers that you don't mind getting trashed, so don't mind getting paint and cement, mud, dirt on. Flip-flops or sliders, some beach shoes. These will be the shoes that you'll wear the most throughout the trip, so make sure they're nice and comfy. And then if you want to bring a nice pair of shoes, if you're going out for dinner or if you're going out for drinks, optional, but it's nice to have. What else? Zoe, have I missed anything on the kit list? My colleague Zoe is there.
I think you covered a lot of the basics.
Okay.
Savlon,
yeah, antiseptic, really helpful. Almost done. So like I said earlier, it's actually really nice that you're in a small team. When I was leader, my favorite teams were always the small teams, just because it's much more friendly, it's much more easy for everyone to get stuck in together. What's so unique about the leap trips is it is the team travel. So part of the point of doing a leap trip is that you're with other people. So you guys will get so close so quickly, you wouldn't believe it. You get thrown in the deep end together. And what we really love to see in the small teams is how they come together and face challenges together. Sometimes challenges for people might be seem to be something really small. They might be a bit scared of the sea, whatever it is. That's why you guys are there together. You can support each other and help each other through any difficulties, any stress. When it comes to the trip, obviously you guys have signed up to a volunteering program. There is lots of volunteering, and what we don't like and what the leaders don't like is people who are hungover and don't want to volunteer. It defeats the point of coming on a trip like this. Of course, go out. You guys are adults. You will be treated like adults. We're not your teachers. We're not your parents. We want you guys to have fun, but within reason. Obviously, you're in a foreign country. You'll need to have quite a lot of common sense around you. So it's not the place to go and get blackout drunk and lose all your stuff and get lost yourself. It's really important you guys look after yourself and you look after each other. When it comes to behaviour, this is such a boring thing to say, but I have to say it. We work on a 3-strike basis. So if your leaders feel you're acting in a way that's inappropriate, this is small behavioural stuff. You will get 3 strikes and then you're out, you're sent home. Obviously, we don't want that to happen. That's worst case scenario, but you don't want to be the person that ruins it for everyone else. As far as I'm aware, that's everything I have to say. I do need to ask a couple of you for a couple of things. So is there even here? I'll rattle it out and then I'll email it to you guys anyway. I need your t-shirt sizes for B, Kit and Jemima. Don't think Jemima's here, no. And then I need your flight information from Jemima, Annie, B and Kit. Other than that, nope, Zoe's put her hand up.
So we need their addresses as well for t-shirts. We've got Kit's size, but not his address.
Okay, for your t-shirts, if I just ask for your t-shirts, we also need your address. So the size that you would like, if you just drop it in an email or on the WhatsApp, if you tell me what size you would like and your address. Perfect. Does anyone have any questions about any of the stuff I've just said? No. God, I've never not had questions. Anything. It can be anything at all. There's nothing too small. No.
Just quickly, for sort of everyone else, is everyone just getting a return flight home or planning on traveling onwards? Is that something people are doing?
I'm thinking about doing onward travel, but I've not got anything booked yet, so I'm still flexible on that.
Great. Annie says she doesn't know. If you are traveling onwards, it's really, really important you think about your yellow fever certificate. So Costa Rica doesn't require yellow fever, but if you're going into other countries and then trying to go back into Costa Rica, or some countries need it full stop. For example, Colombia, if you want to go to Colombia, you need your yellow fever. So just bear in mind, again, like I said earlier, if you are planning on traveling on afterwards, you can always get in touch with us and we will advise you on what you do and don't need. But just for me to mention. Again, have you guys all seen vaccinations on the kit list? You're all happy and comfortable with the ones you need. Oh no, my Zoom's going to run out. Okay, well, if you guys don't have any more questions, you have my email. If you think of anything else, you've got the WhatsApp chat as well. I will add your wonderful leader, Kirsten, closer to the time. So if you have questions for her, you'll be able to ask her directly on the chat as well. Nice to meet you guys. I hope you all enjoy the last bits of your work and I hope the packing goes well. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.